Hello everyone and welcome to Classic Gamer 74. I'm your host, Anthony Gamer, and today is the first in a series I call Arcade versus Port, where we compare the original arcade game to its ports on various gaming systems. And our first episode will be about Q Bert. Q Bert was released by Gottlieb in 1982 and was programmed by Warren Davis and was designed by Warren Davis and Jeff Lee. Q Bert was Gottlieb's only successful video game, as it sold around 25,000 arcade cabinets. A cabaret and cocktail version of the game were later produced, and the machines have become collector's items because of their rarity, and the cocktail versions go for thousands of dollars. The gameplay of Q Bert is quite simple. You are this cute little creature called Q Bert, and you use the joystick to jump around on these different cubes, lighting them up. And of course, if that was all there was to it, the game wouldn't be all that exciting, now would it? And of course, no game would be complete without some antagonists. And the three main antagonists are Coily the snake, Ugg the pig kind of thing, and Wrong Way. So let's check out the arcade version of Q Bert. Alright, so this is level 1. And you have to turn the cubes yellow. And you do that, like I said, simply by jumping on them. Now here comes Coily. He first comes down as that pink ball. Well, I guess it's kind of purple. And then those other balls, too, that you got to look out for. Because if they hit you, they kill you. Now to get away from Coily, you jump on that little disc. And he always jumps after you and falls right off the edge. So, be careful, don't let one of those balls hit you. Now, on the first few levels, you only have to jump on the cubes one time. Later levels, you have to jump on them more than once, and sometimes 3 times, and then sometimes they go back to the original. So, very fun game, very challenging, and quite addictive. But again, you gotta be careful, watch out, and don't jump off the edge. Besides being ported out to just about every game system in existence then and now, Q Bert also had his own short-lived cartoon series on Saturday mornings on CBS. Parker Brothers purchased the licensing to port Q Bert out in 1983. So let's look at the various ports of this game and kind of see how they did. We'll start off with the Atari 2600 version. Alright, here's the Atari 2600 version, and honestly, I have to say that this is probably one of the best arcade ports that Parker Brothers ever did for the Atari 2600. It certainly wasn't anywhere near as bad as the Popeye version, but yet here is Q Bert for the Atari 2600. Alright, this is the box and the overlays for the Intellivsion port, so let's check that out. Alright, this has to be my least favorite of all the ports. I'm not a real big fan of Intellivsion, even though it has kind of grown on me in recent years. I found the controls to be a little on the clunky side, and kind of a little bit of a delay, but yet still, it does stay true to the arcade, so no major complaints though. Alright, here's the Atari 5200 version, which stays probably the most loyal to the original arcade version. Definitely, like everything related to the Atari 5200, this version is vastly underrated. So. Alright, and here is the Colecovision version. Finally, I'm able to say that correctly. This one, in my opinion, was the biggest disappointment, as most of the time you expect ColecoVision ports to be the best. And honestly, this one I found to be my least favorite. I didn't like the controls. Again, there was a delay, kind of like the Intellivsion version, and it got really hard to get used to the controls. It took me quite a while. Didn't like it at all. So totally my least favorite is the ColecoVision version of this game. See, right there, look, I just totally jumped off the edge instead of trying to, where I should have been able to jump right onto the flying disc. So, like I said, not my favorite version by any stretch of the imagination. There I got it. See, there. So, but again, this is the ColecoVision version of Q Bert. Alright, and here is the Atari 8 version, which kind of combines the Atari 2600 version with the Atari 5200 version and the best aspects of the arcade and put it into one. So, definitely at the top for ports, in my opinion, is this version, the Atari 8. And here's an interesting one. In 2007, a programmer by the name of Ken Siders created B&Q, which was a homebrew made specifically for the Atari 7800, which is available on AtariAge.com for $30. So let's check it out and see what you guys think. One of the things I have to say about B&Q is that Ken really put a lot of work into this game to make it as close to the arcade as possible. The mannerisms that are used in the game, the sound effects, pretty much everything. I honestly have to say, A+ job by Ken Siders on his own port that he called B&Q, which again is available at AtariAge.com for $30. So check it out. And last but not least, here is the NES port of Q Bert. Now in this version of the game, you actually have to set up the controller first, because I think that a lot of the old-time game players that had played this on a joystick might have a little trouble with the NES gamepad. But anyway, it very much stays loyal to the original game and adds that little bit of flair that only the NES could do. Overall, I would have to say that all of the ports were pretty good. Some were better than others, but they pretty much stayed loyal to the whole concept of the game. And once you got used to the different controllers, the game was pretty much the same from one system to the next. Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode of Classic Gamer 74. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to give us a big thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. What are some of your favorite arcade games that were later ported out to systems? Let us know in the comments section below, and who knows, maybe it might be the subject of a later episode. Well, I want to thank each and every one of you for stopping by. In our next episode, we will be discussing Lost Classics for the Atari 2600. Until that time, this is Anthony Gamer saying thank you and have a great day.